market economy with an international interconnectivity, our employers have to run the company in a competitive manner, which means relative to other companies in the market. During the recent post office workers' strike, who rejected a 2.5% increase as being below the rate of inflation, the argument crept up that workers working in privatized mailing companies earn less to start with, and those private mailing companies have undercut the post office prices and snatched those contracts away from the post office. Whilst in principle the workers are offered an actual reduction of their wages in relation to the retail price index, their objective wage level is still higher than of comparable workers. In reality, the government sets a minimum wage, and any company needing to stay competitive can reach a range of conclusions, from bringing in investment to selling to asset strippers to lowering wages and cutting staff to keep the company going. It would only be a very last resort to close a company because they cannot even pay the minimum wage. It's all a question of demand and supply, and because we are in a profit-oriented market economy with international economic connections, but not all workers in this international market getting the same minimum wage, we see a phenomenon of outsourced out-country companies being able to undercut our prices substantially and leaving us idle to claim benefits or follow other careers which could be artistic. However, the failure of offshore countries like India and China to adhere to local health and safety laws prompted protests from the environment lobby, and China's hosting of the next Olympics forces them to close the biggest polluters around Beijing to get their skies suitably cleared up for people to enjoy the sporting events. These quality issues, of course, forced them to invest more on greener production methods, and their own workers also steadily demand higher wages, also because their standards of living are rising and their own economy became partly privatized and exposed to the international monetary markets. So what would or could the role of the unions be? They could not force wage increases without ceilings, and they have to be sensible and take all economic factors into account. They could have roles as watchdogs of employment law enforcement or legal advisors to their members. Surely in Europe our general standard of working practice is much more worker-friendly than the one in the People's Republic of China, and we are more a capitalist state. And now even the communist China takes a slice out of our cake and eats it. Communist China now supplies capitalist USA with articles of clothing, and without its supplies our own population would have it difficult to find alternative sources of production. In fact, I could not even call China communist anymore, because China implements almost the same methods of economic development that we have here in the UK. The lawful implementation of a minimum wage and legal framework for working conditions, unions become unnecessary. Unions are unable to negotiate higher wages than the employer can afford, and unions do not have the power to query the level of director remunerations, but this is mainly a matter for public pressure. I think public pressure can often achieve more than union pressure. Ordinary citizens writing to their MPs, lobbying councillors, MEPs, companies, publicising newsletters can achieve more than a striking union who alienate the rest of us because we cannot get our services today. One problem that does emerge is the ability to obtain legal assistance, and with the reduction of legal aid being easily available, our ability to get equal legal rights are reduced. Our rights should not be for sale or a matter of purchase. We can get from the shelf as the customers of the law. We should automatically be protected against breaches of the law, and the law itself should pursue those breaches as to protect itself from being abused. The law itself can never be for sale, as the law is the truth, and the truth has nothing to do with monetary values at all. To be really equal, we all should be protected by the law, as if it is easily broken and hard to defend, then those unable to purchase protection are in danger of losing out, and there is a gap in the market for the unions to step in. Create legal services for the poor, whereby members can get the advice they need. Especially with privatized housing, councillors and democratic control of our rights is being reduced, and problems become a private matter of the law between tenants and landlords, and not the tenant and councillor and landlord. A private landlord cannot be voted out. A private landlord can only be taken on in a court of law. We are now starting to see a shift from employer discrimination to legal discrimination, and the unions should cover that area and evolve with the times.